Okay, so welcome to the final chapter of our novel, Mr. Pip. So it's quite good that we've made it to the end, so well done. Thanks for sticking with this novel. It's a great book. And in the final chapter, we have Matilda in England. So England is, of course, the home of Charles Dickens, and the point being that during the 19th century, he was the most popular author in England. And of course the 19th century lifestyle in England was important for countries like New Zealand and Australia, because the tough world that Dickens described, full of convicts and orphans and criminals and factories and workers and everything like that. Think of all of those people who had motivation to jump on a ship and to travel to the other side of the world. If everything in England was really good in the 19th century, none of these people would want to leave England. Instead, the world Dickens describes in the 19th century is very bleak. So, the first point being here that Matilda learns more about Dickens, and she says, Mr. Dickens looks exactly how I would have wanted him to look. I put a picture of him on this video, and his beard is extremely famous, his fishtail beard. And he also has quite messy hair. He looks like he's a very serious man. He's quite an intense man, isn't he? And we have another idea here. Although Dickens had sympathy for some of his fictional characters, in real life he was cruel to his own children. Page 213 to 4. Why is this interesting? It's interesting because Charles Dickens is meant to be seen as this sort of noble, wise, loving, caring man, but in real life he was quite horrible to some of his own children. Okay, this is a man who cares about people like Pip or other children like Oliver Twist. However, in real life he was not perfect. And this is a very important lesson for Matilda to learn, that although she seems to respect Charles Dickens because of his fantastic writing abilities, it does not mean that he's perfect. He had his own demons. In real life, he left his wife. His wife had 10 children. That's quite a strange number, isn't it? I'll say it again. 10 children. And Mr. Dickens ran off with a new woman who was about, I'm not sure of her age, but she was quite young. The point being, during this time, it was a major scandal. So next, Matilda visits Gravesend, which is an urban area near London. So this is to the east of London. Previously, it was the marshland in the 19th century. So the point being is that the landscape has changed. London has expanded and grown. It's one of the most important cities in the entire world. So when Dickens was writing, outside of London you could find the swampy, disgusting, damp marshland, which was of no use to anybody. But now we have better technology, so we can build concrete and roads and shopping centres over that. Matilda claims that as she has grown older, she has less respect for the characters in Great Expectations. She claims that they are too loud and too grotesque, and that's hyperbole. Now, that's a really interesting idea. Too loud, too grotesque. So, I agree with that criticism. I think that the characters in Dickens are unrealistic. They're eccentric. It's hard to take them seriously. Next we have this idea that Matilda visits Eastgate House. This is where Dickens wrote some of his novels, and it is described as a perfect postcard village. So the point being that this village, Eastgate House, is in Kent. So this is outside of London, to the east of London, where Dickens wrote some of his novels, and this place has not changed much compared to the marshland of Gravesend. A final point that I really want to make is on the last page we have this sort of beautiful conclusion to this novel. I really like this. I think it's quite thoughtful and it's quite poetic. So before I start to read this quotation, just remember that this quotation is actually about Mr. Watts. Even though it says Mr. Dickens there, I believe it's about Mr. Watts. And once, a long time ago, and during very difficult circumstances, my Mr. Dickens had taught every one of us kids that our voice was special. So that's a fantastic conclusion to this novel. I hope you've enjoyed this novel, and we're going to do some more work on it during the week. We're going to do some summaries of some of the key challenges that the characters face and everything like that. And we're also going to do some more work on the illusions this week. Thank you very much.